Hello, class. You are listening to Mrs. Collins' podcast of the day. And today's podcast will be about displaying numerical data using box plots. So this means by the end of this podcast, you guys should have a general idea and understanding of how to display numerical data using box plots. So let's begin. First, let's review. Remember, the median of a set of a numerical data is the middle number when the data is in order. Remember, there are two possible cases. The numerical data set is even and the numerical data set is odd, which means there's even amount of numerical data in one or an odd amount of numerical data in the other. Remember, when there's an even amount of data, you have to combine the two middle numbers and take the average of them. And when the amount of data is odd, you just take the middle number. So let's review. Here's your entry ticket. What is the median of each set of data? Now, I advise you to pause the screencast and work these problems out. Remember our podcast rules. You must turn in all the work that should be done by hand, and that is what will be graded. You can make any changes to your answers before you turn them in. So now, pause this podcast and figure out what is the median of each set of data. Now let's go over this. So remember, guys, we always talked about ordering the data. So make sure you order the data first in any number set, because you probably will need to do that. So in the first one, since there's an odd number of items, the median is 6 because it's the middle number. And in the second one, after you order the data, you can see that there's an even number of items. So we have to take the average of the middle two numbers. So now I will start talking about what we are learning today, and that is, what is a box plot? A box plot is a graphical way to represent how a set of data is distributed through quartiles. And finding quartiles is all about finding the medians. That is why we did our entry ticket over learning about medians again. So since we know medians, this is going to be easier than if we didn't know what it was. But you guys probably should be wondering, well, what is a quartile? And that is what we are going to talk about next. So finding quartiles is like cutting a sandwich. At the beginning, you have a whole sandwich. Well, now I'm going to find the median of the sandwich. So finding a median is the middle number. So I'm going to cut the sandwich in half. The median is also known as Q2, which means quartile 2. So now we need to find quartile 1, which is the lower quartile. So we have to cut the lower half in half. So we have to find the median of the lower half. Now we have to find the upper quartile, which is Q3, and we have to cut the upper half in half. So we have to find the median of the upper half. And these 3 cuts divide the sandwiches into quarters. And as you can see, each quarter is 25%, which makes one full sandwich. So now let's learn how to create a box plot. We have to find the 5-number summary. Well, man, what's the 5-number summary? The 5-number summary is once you order the data, you have to find the median or quartile 2. You have to find the lower quartile or quartile 1. You have to find the upper quartile or quartile 3. And then you have to find the minimum value of the data, and then you have to find the maximum value of the data. So the 5-number summary is quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, the min value, and then the max value. So now let's learn how to create a box plot, since now we know how to find the 5-number summary. We'll try this one together. Find the 5-number summary for these quiz scores. So the first thing that should come to mind is I need to order my data set. And when you look at the data set, you can tell that they are already in order. So that's good. Well, then you have to find the 5-number summary. So quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, min, and max. Well, since the data is in order, we know the min will be 75 and the max will be 96. So there's 2 out of the 5 things we have to find. So remember, quartile 2 is just splitting the data in half. And when we do that, we see that this is a odd number data set, which means the middle of this data is 87. So the median is 87. So we found quartile 2. So let's find the lower quartile. When there is one median, we do not include it when we are finding the lower and upper quartile. In this case, we do not include it. In other cases, when there's 2 middle numbers, we will have to include that when finding the lower and upper quartiles. But for this one, we will not include it because there's only one middle number. So now the lower quartile would be the 2 numbers 78 and 78. And when you take the average of that, you get 78. So good, we found the lower quartile. Well, now let's find the upper quartile. So we get the 2 numbers 92 and 93. So we're going to have to average those out to find the median number. When you do that, you should get 92.5. So there we go. We have our min, quartile 1, quartile 2, quartile 3, and our max. So now, what I like to do is draw the number line that suits this data. So in this case, I'm going to start at 75 and end at 96. And then I'm going to plot points to where those numbers match up. And then to make the box plot, this is how it looks. You first make the lower quartile and the upper quartile touch each other. This is usually in a rectangular form. And then you cut that at quartile 2, which is the median. And now we have to connect the min and max. And how you do that is you connect the min to the lower quartile and the max to the upper quartile. And that gives you your box plot. And like we said at the beginning, this has cut each section of the data into a quarter. And we see we have 4 quarters, which means we have all the data that we need. So now it's your turn, guys. What I need you to do is create a box plot for the following set of data, which represents the ages of the guests at your birthday party. So for homework, I need you to make a box plot for the following set of data. Remember, class, you can re-watch this podcast as many times as you want until you think you understand box plots and can get the correct answer for creating a box plot for the following set of data that represents the ages of the guests at your birthday party. Remember, if you have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email on your Google Classroom, and I would be honored to answer them because I love when you guys ask questions when you are not sure. So now you guys should have known, or you guys should know the basics and the important information on how to create a box plot when given a numerical set of data. Thank you guys so much for listening, and I hope to see you in class with the completed examples we went through and the homework, which was the data set that represented the ages of the guests at your birthday party as a box plot. Thank you guys. See you later.